Welcome everyone. This is Devon Dice Presents, the podcast aired on Monday the 18th of January 2016. Hello, my name is Joel Wright, better known as Depressed Monkey.
And I'm Tom Westrope, also known as Stropey Man. And we're going to be your hosts of this excellent show. This podcast is a lively discussion all about our board gaming.
We like to talk about board games that we have played, news and topics. And if you'd like to join in with the discussions, you can go to our Facebook page or on the BGG Guild of the same name or our Twitter. You can find all these in the show notes. Hello, Tom. How you doing?
I'm very well, Joel. How's things?
All right. That was just a very unnatural joining in, and I have to work on the intro. But yes,
the whole intro, or just that last little hi, Joel?
It's a work in progress.
It's reading stuff out. Can't read.
I feel better if it's read out. Then we know we've got everything in.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help that you put my name as Tim Westrope in the notes.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Thanks
Sorry.
for that.
It's edited. So yes, this is our first show. Beginning of the year, new show and new website. It's all there, ready for you to see. Go to devondice.co.uk and hopefully there'll be a nice little blog from our other host Tom on there soon.
Well, me, yeah,
yeah,
not
you.
our other host.
No, not
me.
Your other host. See,
I'll be doing a blog, some blogging. I don't know what that means really. Just as far as I can tell, it's just writing words on the internet.
Yeah, it's internet slang for writing stuff on there.
So I'm down with the lingo.
We'll get you there soon.
Yeah. So I'm writing words on the internet. So go and have a read, and then you write some other words on the internet, and then I'll let you know whether I agree with your words. We'll all enjoy that together.
Cool. So, you've been playing anything exciting lately, Tom?
Is this the bit where we talk about something we've played?
Yeah, I was segueing on.
We played Istanbul the other night, didn't we, Joel?
We did.
We played it at our Thursday club in Ivybridge. Enjoyed that. Istanbul, good little game.
Yes, so Istanbul it won the Kenneth Spieldsaurus, which is the Gamers Game for 2013 or 14. I think it was 14. And it's basically a nice little racing game where you're a merchant with your 4 assistants running around Istanbul town square, trying to get 5 gems in your possession as quickly as possible. And there's several different ways to do it, and it's a 4x4 grid of this town, which each square is a nice little kind of venue you can visit and try and gain resources or actual gain rubies. And because it's tiles, it can be modular, so you can change it around. There's different setups you can have. There's easy setup, there's hard setup, there's all different setups, and it's quite nice like that, so you can always have a different game. And we played, what was it, the In Order setup last night, didn't we?
Yeah, it was In Order. So there's two. There's kind of one main intro one, which is a short game where everything's specifically set up in a way where tiles that work together are near each other. And then there's a long game. Well, and then everything else is pretty much a long game. And the one we did was just all the tiles in number order, which means you have all the scoring kinds of tiles along the bottom and all the other tiles up the top and in the middle. It was the first time I've played that arrangement. I've only played the game a few times. nice to play something other than the short arrangements, try something new, and that actually was interesting to see how other types of arrangement would start to change the gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've up until last night, I only played the short routes, and it kind of felt like, well, I kind of know the loop here, so it was quite interesting. And when we played 4-player with old Lewis and Mike, and you three were off down the east end of town, where I was down the west end of town, kind of doing a little loop-de-loop every time, gathering resources, selling them, and then going to the gem collector, is it? One of the... he's got several gems that you can just buy for money. And I was just doing that while you were up there, going to the post office, going to...
I was going to the tea house. I was gambling at the tea house. I'd got the bonus tile that made me a little bit luckier.
Yeah,
I could manipulate the dice roll. So I was gambling at the tea house and then making my barrow bigger so I could get more goods. And I did that loop a bit to try and just max that out before I went off and did everything else.
Yeah,
and it probably would have worked if it weren't for those pesky kids. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was you kind of, because no one else really got in the way of getting the early gems, with you and down on the bottom getting the money gems, and Lewis was getting the goods gems. No one else was getting in their way. I don't think me going off doing the other thing was particularly helpful, but but because of that, it's interesting. I don't think there's a clear one strategy approach, is there?
No, I mean, Lewis just picked the win for me right near the end. As I was on 4 gems, and he was on 4, and I thought, he can't do it. He's got no resources, and I saw the amount of money he had, because he had the special card where you could go to a market and sell whatever he likes for as much as he can. And so he had plenty of money, and his next move was to go where I'd been going and just buy his last gem, which I had just gone there and got my 4th gem, and then I was 2 steps away from getting my 5th gem. So I was just like, oh no, he's done it again. It's viticulture all over again with this. But yeah.
So I mean, the main mechanic of the game is you've got a stack of chips, which is yourself on the top, and a whole bunch of assistants, which are the other chips. And you can move up to a couple of squares away. And when you get to where you're going, you have to, if you don't already have an assistant on that space, you have to drop an assistant off. So eventually you'll run out of assistants if you don't start going back over places you've already been.
Yeah.
And if you don't manage to drop off an assistant or pick an assistant up, then you miss your go. So you're forced to retrace the tiles you've been on, or go back to the fountain to get all your assistants back. So that's the main mechanic, and then the different tiles have different abilities. You might be getting goods or money, or making yourself better at collecting goods, or getting bonus cards. Yeah, so there's bonus cards with abilities, and there's tiles which have skills and things. And then you're trading those different things in for gems. You can get gems by collecting your full amount of barrow, so that you've got you can gather as many resources as is possible, or you can get gems from collecting pairs of skill tiles, and getting gems is the way you win the game. So you're bumping into each other. You can block you can't block each other off tiles, but if you're in a tile, it costs someone else to go there as well. They have to pay you money. So there's an interactivity and tactics and strategy, and the game's got a lot going for it. I'm not surprised it won the award.
Yeah.
Although actually at the time I was surprised because I think it was Concordia that year as well, wasn't it? And it beat Concordia to the Kennerspiel.
It did.
So I was surprised by that, but I'm not surprised it was in the running, and I don't think it was a terrible pick. It seems like a really, really good strategic and tactical game. And because you can move the tiles around in these different orders, as we discussed already,
Hmm.
There's a lot of replayability. Each time you're presented, you can do random setups as well, and each time you've then got to work out which of the different avenues you're going to go down and which order you want to go to different tiles in.
Yeah, so that's Istanbul. Pegasus Spiel is the publisher. It's 2 to 5 players. You can play up to an hour long, probably a bit more, depends if you've got any AP players like we do. It's quite good, and we picked this because it scratches all itches. It can be a good family game. It can be a good gamers game. You could bring this out to anyone. The quick idea of you just move around, and collect stuff, and you try and get 5 gems. That's the whole concept. It's very easy for people to understand, and you could just sit there and just play it and not really think too much about it, and probably still do well. So that's why we highlighted this for our game of the month.
Yeah, first show we've done, so I'm gonna spell it out for everyone. My absolute perfect types of games are those where they have a real element of interest for a true gamer. And when I say true, I don't mean get on my high horse as a true gamer. I just mean somebody who wants a meaty game and wants a good interactive and fulfilling game time. But also it's simple enough that you can get the family around it. They'll get their heads around the rules, and you'll be able to have fun together in those two different types of gamer groups. So yeah, pick of the month.
Yeah, let's move on. As we said, we're going to keep this nice and tight, so I can get this edited and not have to worry about it. Tight. So we're going to move on to the news of the month. So first up, the big thing that happened was Catan was brought by Asmodee from Mayfair Games. Now, this was kind of a probably big shock to a lot of people. Catan, or better known as Settlers Catan, was owned by Mayday Games ever since probably the beginning, and suddenly Asmodee say, no, we own the rights to the English language of Catan. So there goes Mayday Games' biggest nest of money. So I don't know what happens with that company now. Hopefully they can bring out some new, better games, but Asmodee's sucking up all these big games now.
No, I suppose I just don't really understand the industry enough to know whether this is this scary news, or is it just interesting and big news? I don't know the mechanics of all the different companies together really to
I don't think it's scary news. Probably for Mayday Games it might be a bit scary because that was their biggest money bringer. But for Asmodee, possibly could be only better because they're going to look after it. They might upgrade it. They might make it more appealing to the public. And it's not the first game that they brought off of another company that's been selling well. Just last month, I think it was, they brought Dobble, which is a small family card game. And in America, I think it's called Spot It. But they brought that, and they now own the rights. And I think they're buying up certain games, and they're looking to push them into the big commercial properties. I mean, I've seen Dobble now appearing in Tesco's and other supermarkets. So maybe we'll start seeing Catan in a nice new box, maybe.
Yeah. Well, if it's something that increases the gaming industry, the presence of gaming to the public, then I'm all for that.
Yep, definitely.
Next.
As well as Pandemic Legacy getting to number 1 in the BGG charts, Codenames has now reached 20 of the BGG. And I say this, yeah, well deserved. I say this because Codenames is technically a party game. I say I might be drawn up by someone that's behind it, but it's very unusual for a game like this. Very small game, does a lot of things, and it's now getting into top 20. And both me and Tom have predicted it might reach the top 10 in a year, within a year. I don't know. Did we discuss that, or am I making it up?
No, we have in the past discussed that. I think I I would certainly be making that prediction about it being top 10 before the end of the year. I think it's got that huge appeal. You can get it out in lots of different gamer groups.
Yep.
It can be short playtime if you need it to be, and it's got a lot of thinking and a lot of fun, a lot of laughter.
Yeah. I mean, it's got good elements. I mean, it can do 2 players, 3 players, 4 players. 4 players is when it starts getting into teams, and then it can go right up to practically as many as you want, really, to accommodate the situation going. And it's just a great game. There's a lot of thinking going on. There's a lot of banter going on. People can drop in and drop out when they need to. It's a filler, or it can be a main game. Does a lot of things, scratches a lots of stuff, and it's well deserved to get up there, as we applauded earlier. So, yes, let's see by the end of the year where it is.
Well done, Codenames. Next.
Days of Wonder announced their new game for the year. If I can say this, Quadropolis.
Yeah, nice. Bang on.
Basically, Days of Wonder just release one game a year normally, and this is their game. It looks very interesting. I know it's got Tom's eye a bit, and you're basically kind of city building. It has been deemed the same as Between Two Cities, but I don't think so, really. Possibly scoring wise, but there's a unique elements of how you collect tiles of different buildings. You basically kind of work a place, but it's not exactly hitting the spot of where you want to collect. And then you're building your city on another grid to score points mid-game and end-game. Looks like it's got lovely components as normal, and it looks like a very interesting game.
Expect the components out of Days of Wonder now, don't you? It's really their trademark. They really do some wonderfully looking games, and good fun games to play as well, mind. Who's the designer?
Francen Gandon, new designer.
I don't know him.
No, I've never heard of him before.
But Days of Wonder is always worth keeping an eye on. Days of Wonder.
Definitely.
Quadropolis. And city building, so 2 thumbs up.
There is a couple of videos online. You can go to Dice Tower. It was at the time called City Mania. So if you look for City Mania Dice Tower, they give it a good thumbs up. And then there is another one someone's done. So, go and check it out. Looks very interesting.
Next.
Z-Man Games to bring out My First Stone Age.
Next.
Hold on a minute. It's quite interesting. This is good for the kids.
Okay, fine.
It's good for the kids. I mean, there is My First Carcassonne, which I got, and the kids like playing. It's just another way of, if it's going to be the same, worker placement, bringing it to your 5-year-old and saying, here's a game you can play, and maybe the parents will get some fun out of it as well. So I think it's interesting. It's a good concept, good idea, and it's Stone Age, so I think they might have put a dinosaur on the front just to encourage the kids, but hey, I think it's good. Good for the children.
Yeah, it's good to have a range of different types of games available, as you say, for different ages. My daughter's not old enough for that level of game yet, so
no.
Yeah, but great idea. Hopefully there's a lot more of this to come.
Brass to get a reprint in deluxe version, and it's going to be produced by Roxy Games.
Yes, Brass reprint. Now we're talking. So deluxe as well. Deluxe.
Yeah.
That always entices me in. You stick deluxe on the end of a board game name. I am interested.
So
and
deluxe,
Brass is a good game too.
Oh, not deluxe. It's not called deluxe.
It's called Brass.
Brass. Yes, right. Brass is designed by Martin Wallace, and it was originally printed by Eagle Griffin Games. There was a bit of hoo-ha last year about this, that Eagle Griffin was planning to do a deluxe version, and we're going to put it on Kickstarter as normal, but Martin Wallace said, hold on, no, I'm not letting you do that. It's coming to the end, or it had ended the contract between them, and he wanted it back. And then surprisingly, Roxy Games has now come along and said, we're going to be helping to reprint this, and it's going to be on Kickstarter as well. So Roxy Games are pretty good. I got Super Mother Load from them, which is a nice little deck building game. They also produced Steampunk Rally just recently, which done very well on Kickstarter. So this could be a good stepping stone for them. And Tom's first Kickstarter.
Well, we'll see. Well, let's see. Let's see what the Kickstarter actually offers. It sounds as though the main thing you can get from Kickstarter is something about upgraded pieces in the deluxe edition.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have a look. I'll be keeping an eye on it.
I think that's coming out at the end of this month. If anyone's interested, possibly February time, but I think they said end of this month.
Next.
So we're going to go on to Kickstarter, and Kickstarter's exploded this month. New Year, it's January, Christmas is over, and everything's now coming out on Kickstarter. Dice Tower's got their 12th season Kickstarter fundraiser going, and it's done very well. Dice Encounters is Bristol's first board game cafe. They're popping up everywhere over the UK now. This is getting quite something, and we're still waiting for our extra one open. I don't know what's happened with that.
I heard there was one in Plymouth opened.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
Carpe Diem, although I don't know if that's just mixed communication.
Possibly. We're not sure on that.
More on that to come, but they are popping up everywhere.
They are,
so
well.
That's a sign of the industry doing well.
Yep. Pursuit of Happiness. I've backed this. I'm off the wagon again.
Already?
Already. 1 month. I'm off the wagon. Pursuit of Happiness. This is by Atipia Games, who've done Among the Stars. And it's basically Life, the board game, but Euro worker placement style.
Fixed,
definitely. It's the Dice Towers, one of their best games of 2015. It reached many of their top 10 categories when they done their end of year show. They were quite clever with this because they produced a small quantity of it at Essen, about 300 copies, so they could sell it, see what the reaction was to it, and then they could also send copies to reviewers, because the Dice Tower doesn't do like post or pre-production stuff, so they could get that to him. And Tom Vassell really liked it, so back this. It's going on at the minute. It's $49 to back it, which works out to be £34. It's due to come to us at April time. By the time you hear this, got about 23 days to go, so plenty of time to jump on that bandwagon. Tiny Epic Western. This is a game from Scott Ames and Gameling Games. It's in their line of Tiny Epic Everything, and this is another worker placement with kind of poker hand element. It looks very good, looks very cool. I'm not backing it because I'm just going to wait for retail possibly to come out. There's not much difference in it. It's $36 to back for the deluxe version, and you get a couple extra things with the deluxe. So it's about £25 to get it shipped to the UK. It's due out in September, and that's got about 19 days to go.
Yeah, some of those Tiny Epics are better than others. So it'd be interesting to see how this one is.
This one does look very good, and I've seen a few videos on it. And the element of it is you're moving around the board trying to go to different huts or buildings to earn resources. And then you got there's a couple of cards, like poker card, like decks. It's not a full deck, but there's cards on the table, and then you've got cards in hand, and you're trying to form poker hands on between the tables to win duels and do better in it. Very good concept. I do like it. It's just I'm not going to back it at that price. I'll just wait for the retail version to come out.
Cool.
And then a couple of epic Kickstarter fails.
Ooh.
Now these caught my eye because one, maybe the name, and two, I was like, what the is that? And one of them's called, I've lost my page.
Great Boy,
the game. Now you need to check this out, Tom, because I want your reaction as you look at it.
Oh, you want me to actually find it, do you?
Yeah. Shall I send you a link?
Bible Study Interactive.
No, I'm not doing it because it's the Bible.
Great Boy the game, Dexploration puzzle based on mysterious Bible stories. What's that got to do with Great Boy puzzle?
But if you watch the video, you'll probably see some...
Oh, it's time stories.
Yeah. They basically ripped off time stories and put Bible stories all over it.
What? What? So they're not recognizing time stories at all.
No.
They're just using.
They've used
all the same
tools.
mechanics.
Yeah, they use all the tools because you can get the tools online. So they're using all the token symbols.
Let's pause that. Yeah, they're using all the token symbols,
the layouts, the mechanics, and everything like that, and not recognise time stories or Space Cowboys anywhere in it.
Wow.
And I'm just reading through about things, and there's nothing that honours them, and it's literally time stories without the board or the great concept of it. I think it's you're following this boy through his ventures of discovering the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I'm not laughing at if it's
no. I quite like that. I mean, look, some of the stories in the Bible, regardless of whether you're into them religiously, they're quite cool stories. There's violence. There's intrigue. There's all sorts going on. I can believe those stories being translated into an interesting game. And people, regardless of their faith, if they're learning about stories in someone else's faith, I think that's a positive thing. Regardless, I'd be happy to do that on any stories of any other person's faith I would find interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. But it's just shameless ripping off of... Am I allowed to say that? That it's a shameless ripping off of time stories?
That's what I thought. As soon as I watched it, I was like, I can't believe this.
Well, the second image clearly uses exactly the same tokens for that Time Stories uses. No spoilers here, don't worry, guys. As you saw in our spoiler episode, we plaster it with saying it's spoilers, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there's tiles that kind of show you when you've been somewhere or you've got an item or something, and it's exactly the same tile. There's not even an attempt to make it anything other than that.
Nope. And as I said, nowhere in the description have they said this is influenced from Time Stories and we've used this and blah blah blah. I don't know what the legal requirements is for what the Time Stories kind of function or its box and everything it contains, but I'm sure they probably got copyright issues on this.
Well, I wouldn't care to comment on that because I don't
pretty
understand
sure
copyright. But yeah, all right. I can see why it's under Kickstarter fail, but it might do really well. It might be really good. Whether it's legal or not, we'll let the lawyers decide. And then there's the questions about how many times can you play it, is there replayability, all the same questions about Time Stories, which I imagine there is not replayability. Although, I'd wonder whether you can even play it the first time through if you know the Bible stories that they're portraying. But, anyway, okay, enough of this.
Yeah.
Next.
I put it in the link.
This is another Kickstarter fail.
Yeah, Retail Rampage.
Right. Now, there's two things that this brings to mind.
Yep.
Okay, before... I'm not looking at the image. Well, I am looking at the image, but I mean, this isn't coming from the image.
Yep.
It's either going to be Supermarket Sweep... Well, and then Rampage is the computer game that there was the other board game called Rampage, and now it's Terror in Meeple City.
Yep.
But what is this? Grab the deals.
I don't know. Watch the video. You'll be able to find out.
There is no video.
Yep. There's no video. There's nothing really about the game.
Is that what you're telling me? There's no video. Oh, okay.
He just put this up. He needs 30 grand. 30 grand to apparently fund his board game that he's been developing for like 6 months. But he's put no video up, so there's no images of it.
Do you know how many times I clicked on that picture trying to make it turn into a video?
Yeah, I know you would. And then there's barely any description about it. I mean, he's got about the project, risks and challenges, FAQ, and that's it. no one. I just can't understand it.
Well,
but
that's Kickstarter, isn't it?
Yeah. But with all these, it's been going for so many years, and there's so many out there that you can just research, say, how did this do so well? They've done this and they've done that. And then still people go on there and say, oh, I can put a board game up, and people are going giving me all their money just to have this board game that I might create. And you got to do a bit more work than write a bit, put an image up, and then expect to get 30 grand for it. But you can back it at £1,500 and be part of the team and help towards producing this game if you wanted to.
That's lovely. Hang on a minute. Oh no, it's okay. There's 25 left of 25. Whew. You still got time, everyone.
He wants 25 people working on this game for him. Another 50 because the £900 is work with me. So, anyway, enough of that.
All right.
Move on. And that was the news,
Kickstarter fail.
Yeah. That was the news. We're going to move on to a topic. Maybe we'll do this each time and have a little topic discussion about something that's happened. But this topic discussion is going to be about us, Devon Dice, and what it's all about. So what is Devon Dice Presents all about?
I don't know. What's Devon Dice Presents? Oh, it's this whole thing. Well, I don't know. We're kind of just talking about board games, aren't we? We play loads of board games.
We like to talk about them.
We like to talk about them. And there's stuff going on, and you want to hear about it. And we want to interact with everyone. Mm-hmm. And it's fun doing this kind of thing. Yeah, we're sharing our views. And more importantly, it means that if we share our views, then you might get to know what kinds of things we like, and then that makes our views helpful to you.
Yeah. And
if we find something really cool, you can go and check it out and have a play. And if we find something really terrible, then you can still check it out and have a play. But you can avoid it. It's up to you. So and have a laugh on the way. Oh no, but you don't say that, do you? You don't say you're having a laugh on the way. It's not funny.
So at the minute we got this podcast going. This is the first one of many, hopefully. This will come out every third Monday of each month. There's general kind of chit-chat show. We got a second podcast, which will be on the same feed. It's all going to be on the same feed, so don't worry about trying to find two feeds. But that'll be on the first Monday of every month. It's kind of called Plan Overboard, and it's basically us reviewing a game. First off, we've taken the top 10 of Board Game Geek, and we're going to review those games each month, one by one, and play it properly. Play it as many times as we can to get a good idea of the game, and then review it and give our opinions, and hopefully some extra little bits to go in there.
Yeah, and it was the top 10 as of back in December 2015. Yeah. And we might fill it out. If something else slips into the top 10 in the meantime, we'll fill that in later on.
Yeah. Also, we've got our website, which is devondice.co.uk, where you'll be able to find the podcast. You'll be able to find Tom's blogs. And when I get time, possibly I might do something. I also hope to do some videos. We also got our part-time co-host, kind of, Lewis Holt, when his missus lets him. But yeah, he's kind of last minute say, do you want to join in with this? You don't have to do much, just this is what's happening. And he said, yeah, all right. So he'll pop along maybe on podcasts, and me and him are testing something else out at the minute. We are playing Tabletopia, which is an online platform for playing board games, and we're video recording what we're doing, like teaching it and then playing through it, and then we're playing around with it at the minute. We've done one, we recorded the second one, and so we're seeing how they look and how they present. So they will pop up hopefully on our YouTube channel, which is Devon Dice, and you can go along there and hopefully there'll be stuff up there soon. And that's about it, I think. Is it?
Creating lots of content.
Hopefully.
And yeah, and kind of try and do Twitter in, Facebook in, and talking on chat rooms on Board Game Geek and things, having some discussions.
We're quite easy. I'm quite open. I play anything. Tom practically plays everything.
What do you mean practically? What don't I play?
Very reluctant to play Coal Express last night.
No. Do we have to explain the whole thing to everyone now? Because that's out of context now.
No. But...
we both play anything, don't we? We'll try anything.
Yeah. Family, hardcore, quick fillers,
long games.
Long, possibly. I mean, I'm a bit reluctant on the long games, but there will be some I'll have to play for the top 10. And then I wouldn't mind trying Twilight Imperium 3 once or twice. So, yeah. We do anything. We're quite open. Talk to us about anything on it. It's fine. We won't shoot you down just because you like fun, exciting dice games. And that's it. Devon Dice. Bonus content. I thought I'd put this in. Maybe something to pop up through the month. We thought, check this out. It could be anything from, YouTube video to, I don't know, something we've just seen that we thought interesting. We'll try and keep it board game related, but this one that popped up, it's just been released out onto the UK market today or next week. So I saw this game, and I've kind of seen it around before, but never took much notice of it until it turned up today, and I thought, I'll check it out. It's called Gum Gum Machine. It's a really quirky little game. There's not many videos you can watch that are in English. Well, there's one that Board Game Geek done. I like the idea of what they're doing with it. It's basically Gum Gum is this new element, and you're trying to create it by... I don't know how to explain it. You pick something on a board, it will tell you where to start, you follow the pipe round, and you will start collecting coloured discs on the way through. You can't have the same coloured disc, and so if you get many of the same coloured disc, you have to kind of chuck them away. And then you're trying to cap it off with a black disc. And once you cap it off with a black disc, you measure how tall your stack of discs are, and you score points. And the first one to get to 30 points wins the game. But it's just nice little concepts in it. And as I said, there's a part where it says, right, you've gone this far, now go to this bit where you kind of draw 2 discs from the bag and you slide it through this kind of chute where it will push 2 more discs out the other side of it. So they're your 2 discs you collect, if you know what I mean. Do you understand? Nope. So it's like a kind of conveyor belt, but the conveyor belt's covered up so you can't see what's inside there.
Right.
So you push 2 discs one side and 2 discs will pop out the other side.
Okay.
Alright?
Yeah. So like a dispenser.
It's a bit of a random element, but you don't know when you're going to come across that until you pick a disc up from the machine elsewhere, because the parts of it can move around. So, and I just thought it looked really different. It plays in 30 minutes, and I can see that happening because it wouldn't take too long to play. And it's for ages 8 and upwards. So I thought that'd be great for kids because the colours that are going on with it are brilliant. You looking at it? Yeah,
well, I'm looking at a picture on the Board Game Geek. There's a few on there. It looks colourful. All the tubes look quite static, so I'm not sure how you work out which routes you follow and whatnot. But
well, you follow the colour tube where you start. It's hard to know what you're looking at.
Yeah, but then but they're all static, aren't they? So
no, can you see any numbers? Any little squares with numbers on it? Right. So above this purple, follow the pink, bright pink pipe, and there's a number 5.
Yeah.
So at the bottom of the board, there's a slider. And you slide it to a colour and you pull out this stopper and there's a number underneath it, And so you find that number on the board, and that's your starting point. But you slide that number up, because it's like a slotted board. So you slide it up, and when it touches a different colour pipe, that's where you start from, and you follow that pipe around. So that number 5 would start where it started. You move it up to the blue pipe,
Okay.
and then you'll start following that blue pipe, and then there might be a colour disc there which you will pick up, and you keep following it. Now you don't have to pick up all the discs, you can pick up what you like. You keep following it along until you get to a stop, and that's what you pick up.
That looks interesting enough. Worth having a look. I'm not. I guess it looks pretty, but I'm not immediately blown away by the mechanics.
No.
But it sounds interesting. If they've done some slidey mechanics in a really interesting way, then they might have come up with something really cool. Or as you say, maybe it's something that would be very good for kids.
I think so. I thought it was quite quirky, and I might actually.
They're trying to do something different, and I applaud them for that. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on it.
I'll probably look up picking this up, possibly, and having a see what it's like. So that was called Gum Gum Machine, but they called it they say it a different way.
Gum Gum.
So yeah, it's 2 to 4 players, plays in 30 minutes apparently. 8 years upwards, and the recommended retail price of $29.99 from shops. So check it out. And it's produced by not Hutch, as the name says, but Hook, I think they said on the video. So that's how you say Hutch properly in German. Hello, Joe in the editing booth here. And since recording this podcast, Tom Vassell has now put out his video on Gun Gun Machine, and it didn't do too well. He said there weren't much to do, a lot of AP if you're playing 4-player. There's only a couple of exciting aspects to it, and so it kind of left me okay. Maybe I won't buy this at full retail or even 20%. I'll probably look for it very cheap or in trades. It still intrigues me, and I still want to kind of play it. But yeah, it's one of those you need to look at quickly. It still looks quirky, as I said. It's got some unique aspects to it. But there might not be much game to it. It might be good for kids, but not for real gamers. Okay, that's me out.
Okay.
I do try. Is that it, Tom? Do you think we're done?
I think, Joel, that is it for today. I think we just want to get a quick one out, don't we? But in future episodes, I'm hoping to do a segment where we look at Tom Vassell from the Dice Tower's opinions on things, and we do Tom Talkback, where we have a chat about what Tom's been saying and whether or not we agree with him. And what things he might have missed. So we're not going to do that today because that's probably a longer discussion. Mm-hmm. But you've got that to look forward to in future episodes.
And then hopefully also we'll be joined sometimes by Lewis, and we'll be on here all night talking.
Well, yeah. Even the long ones, we don't want to be too long, do we?
No, definitely. I've got to edit it, remember?
Yeah.
So let's close this out. I've been your host, Joel Wright, and you can find me on Twitter and BoardGameGeek as Depressed Monkey.
And I've been Tom Westrope, and you can find me on Twitter at TP Westrope and BGG as Stropeman. It's Stropey Man or Stroppy Man. Join us in 2 Mondays' time when we'll release our next episode of Devon Dice, where we'll be reviewing the first of our top 10 games on the Board Game Geek rankings. And the first one we'll be looking at is Android Netrunner from Fantasy Flight Games.
We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents, the podcast. Good night, and remember, it's your turn. For this Devon Dice podcast, thanks goes out to our families for putting up with our habits. Come join us on our Facebook page, Devon Dice Presents, or our guild on BoardGameGeek.com, Devon Dice, and visit our website called devondice.co.uk. You can find most of the show's information talked about on this podcast in the show notes, and there might even be links as well. Join us in a month for another chat show podcast, and also on the first Monday of every month we will be doing our board game review podcast, the show where we take a look deep into a board game. And again, thank you for listening. This little section on the end is basically me and Tom chatting about the ending of the podcast. You don't need to listen. There's some funny bits in it. It's mainly unedited as well, and it's just us waffling and chatting about it. So enjoy. We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents, a podcast, and good night, and keep the fun in gaming.
Keep the fun in gaming.
How do you think that? Is that
good
good
night.
Wind up?
Yeah, good night. Bye-bye.
Bye. No. How did that sound? I just wrote this afternoon.
You put an extra and in.
Did I?
Yeah. There's no fun in gaming. It should be keep the Ming in gaming. Or keep the am in gaming. Doesn't make any sense.
What were you looking at?
What do you mean what we're looking at?
Looking at my bit.
Yeah?
Keep the
fun in gaming.
Yeah.
The word fun doesn't appear in gaming? It's alright, Charles, don't worry.
I was just trying to think of some different finishing up line. I thought your thing wasn't coming up properly then. That's what I was going to.
Well, you're trying to do a Anchorman.
Yeah.
Keep it classy. Was it San Diego? Keep it classy, San Diego. I'm not even sure if it's San Diego. Anyway,
try to do Anchorman and keep it classy, UK.
Keep it classy.
Keep it cardboard, UK.
Keep it cardboard. Good night, and we'll see you at the table.
We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents, a podcast. Good night, and
we'll see you at the table.
Yeah, I think someone already uses that.
Okay.
Most of them all gone. I used to say keep on gaming, but then I thought someone else uses that.
And
don't spill your drinks over the games. Good night, and don't spill your drinks over the games.
Good night, and get in touch.
No, because I have that on, because there'll be a separate outgoing bit.
Oh, well, there, okay.
Which is in, if you click down in closing credits.
Wait, how do we know it's night time?
Yeah, it's one of those weird things.
They might be listening to it and they'll be like, it's not night time, it's morning. Listen to it on the bus.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, and remember to enjoy a good box fart. Never miss an opportunity to play a game.
Never miss an opportunity to smack the person with AP in the face.
Ooh, that's it.
What's that?
Good night, and remember, it's your turn. That's it.
And remember, it's your turn when it's your turn.
No, everyone will know what that means. That's it. Because it's clever because it's your turn is like obviously a gaming reference, and it's your turn over to the listeners to tell us what they think.
And what was it? And remember,
it's your turn.
It's your turn.
You have to say it in a way like, come on, it's your turn. You know, for it to make sense.
Okay, let's try it then. We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents, a podcast. Good night, and remember, it's your turn.
It's your turn.
It's your turn.
Take your turn. Come on.
No, did I say good night?
I don't know.
I can't remember now. We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents, a podcast. Goodbye, and remember, it's your turn.
We've been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents, a podcast. A podcast? What?
Well,
What
there's
have
no
you written
name
here?
for this one yet.
Podcast Good Night.
It's like this one is called The Podcast.
Oh, I see.
The Podcast. Devon Dice Presents The Podcast.
Our podcast. Devon
This
Dice
podcast.
Presents Devon Dice.
This podcast.
Well, that's what it is, isn't it? We've been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents Devon Dice. Bye. Goodbye. And don't forget, it's your turn.
We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents this podcast. Good
Devon
night.
Dice. We're presenting Devon Dice.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Devon Dice presents Devon Dice.
All right, try it. We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents Devon Dice. Goodbye, and remember, it's your turn. I'm even
Nailed it.
pointing like
Huh?
Alan Sugar.
You what?
I'm even pointing like Alan Sugar.
Yeah, that's good to get
You're
action
fired.
in. It makes it sound like you're doing it. It's like smiling on the phone. We get told that at work. If you smile on the phone,
You sound better.
you sound
yeah.
better. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I thought that now. I haven't smiled once this whole podcast.
Oh, that's why you sound down all the time. There's me with a Cheshire Cat smile on my face, bringing the mood up. Then we cut to Tom's like, yeah, all right, move along.
Next. I think that's it. It's your turn. That's clever. That's clever, and it's your turn.
Okay. We have been your hosts. No,
You've done it. You've done it. You want to do it again,
just
do
making
you?
sure there's a good one in there.
Go on. Take 12.
We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents Devon Dice. Goodbye. What are you laughing for?
I don't know. It's ridiculous. I've got the giggles now. Go on. Right. Shut up, Tom. Go on, Joel.
We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents Devon Dice. I'm sure you got to put podcast in there. Devon Dice Presents Devon Dice Podcast.
Devon Dice presents Tom and Joel.
Nah. I just like this podcast presents this podcast.
Well, that's what we're doing, isn't it? That's what I'm saying. That's why it says what it's. That's why I said that.
Let me try it with that. We have been your hosts. We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents this podcast. Good night, and remember, it's your turn. Good?
Sure.
Do you like it?
I do. Yeah, this podcast. I don't know. It doesn't make sense in my head. But yeah.
All right.
What's the idea? That it's Devon Dice presents, and then each podcast will have the title. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
next
like
time we'll have a theme, and we'll be presenting something else, and it'll be Devon Dice presents.
No, I just thought the chat show is this podcast.
What, normally it would be
Or the
Devon Dice
podcast.
Presents Android Netrunner.
Well, no, Devon Dice presents Plan Overboard podcast.
Is our podcast called Devon Dice Presents?
Officially, no.
What's our podcast called?
Devon Dice.
Why don't we just say we've been your hosts for Devon Dice, the chat show.
Yeah, then that screws up the beginning as well.
I'll just say whatever you said at the beginning.
Well, welcome everyone. This is Devon Dice Presents. The podcast aired on Monday, 18th of January.
Devon Dice, the podcast.
No, it's a working thing at the minute.
It's a working thing. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I think we've nailed the... It doesn't really matter for this one.
Well, let me get the in, and
Yeah.
then we're done. And then I've got a selection to go through.
Okay.
So bad at the minute. We have been your hosts for Devon Dice Presents, the podcast. Good night, and remember, it's your turn.
Yeah. Good.
Done.
Shall I-
Done, done.
I'm going to press stop.